Distinguished Toastmaster Bram Memon, open house to wow your guests. Open house to wow your guests. Distinguished Toastmaster Bram Memon.
Open house to wow your guests. This is Bram Memon, Club Growth Director, District 86. What we're going to talk about is how to create an effective open house that is high quality open house that will convert your guests into members. An open house is basically a demo meeting of your club. It is demoing a high quality meeting, which means all your meetings in your club have to be high quality, not just the demo, the open house. Each and every meeting in your club has to be high quality. If the guests experience a high quality meeting, guess what? They will keep coming back, because in a virtual world, a guest can go to any club globally, anywhere, or anywhere in the district. And they will only become a member of that club which has a high quality meeting. So make sure that your club meetings are high quality and your open house is of utmost high standard and high quality. That is the only way of attracting and keeping guests. So the club members must generate this high quality meeting by focusing on the details, the value that they're generating, what the agenda is, and are they ready for the agenda with the roles prepared, practiced, they've trained themselves before they come and deliver the open house. Quality is of key. They have to plan, prepare, and make sure that the meeting will go perfectly well. It is of the utmost importance. Remember, to plan, prepare, practice, and present. That is very, very important before you come to an open house, which means that at the open house, you have prepared and you have done a dry run beforehand. If you don't do a dry run and you've never done an open house, it may not be very effective. So I recommend, if you haven't done an open house, if your meetings are not of high quality yet, to make sure you have a dry run before you do an open house. Always remember, in a virtual meeting, the guests go anywhere in the area, in the division, in the district, globally, and join any club that they want to. We are moving towards a hybrid situation, perhaps we don't know when. Most clubs will be in a hybrid situation, so the virtual portion of the meeting will still be there. So you have to understand how to do a virtual meeting of high quality. So remember, we are not talking about a physical meeting currently, because the open house season is between September and October, and we want to make sure while you're on the virtual world that your meetings meet the standards on a virtual platform. So what you need to do? Here's a checklist for you guys. Remember to set the date for the open house. The executive team should meet 2 to 3 weeks before, set the date of the open house, and make sure that the members know when the open house is going to be. And how does the members know when the open house is going to be? Either the president, the vice president of education, the public relations vice president, or the chair of the meeting who's going to chair the open house will do an inspiring speech to motivate the members to make sure that they are on board with the open house, that they will bring guests, that they will come and do the roles that they're assigned to them. They will practice those roles, the speeches, and so on. So set the date in advance so members know and they're inspired to come and participate in the open house. So make sure the members know well in advance of what an open house is, when it is going to be, and why you are doing an open house, so they are enrolled in the project. Now, let's go on to the kickoff. To set the goals of how many guests and members will attend, make sure that you know that each and every member of your club will invite at least two guests. Make sure that they know about it. Here's the reason why. 80% of people who join Toastmasters join because of referrals. That is right. Referrals, 80%, which means each and every member in your club knows somebody who will need Toastmasters. Are they communicating that to their friends, colleagues, family, people that know at work, and so on and so forth? The friends on social media. There's people nowadays know a lot of people on social media. And so there should be a social media strategy as well, which we will talk about. You go to think big. How many people do you want at the open house? Goal setting does teach us that without a goal, you're shooting in the dark and you will never perhaps attain that goal. Book a guest speaker well in advance. If you want a guest speaker to come and speak at your open house, I will talk a little bit more about it later, about why have a guest speaker. If you don't have any seasoned Toastmasters speakers in your club who can speak very effectively, then go outside the club, go to the area, go to the division, go to the district. Make sure that you confirm the Toastmaster of the day. Who's going to lead the meeting? Are they an experienced Toastmaster? Are they a seasoned Toastmaster? Do they know how to conduct a meeting? Do they know how to explain the roles as they go along and why the club is doing what it does, so that the guests understand precisely what is going on? See, it is the sales job. A Toastmaster of the day needs to be able to sell the club. By selling the club, I don't mean like blatantly saying, hey, join the club, but subtly making points that enhance the great points about Toastmasters and why your club should be the choice, the first choice for the guest. Now, let's look at the roles that a typical club has. I'll focus on the average club in the district. And the roles that is average in the district is, of course, there's the Toastmaster for the day. Some meetings have a chair and then a Toastmaster as well, but a number of clubs have just a Toastmaster for that particular meeting. We are, of course, talking about virtual meetings. So I will also touch on why it's very important to understand a few things in a virtual meeting. And that is because you need to have a Zoom master. What is a Zoom master? A Zoom master is very proficient in the workings of how Zoom works, how spotlighting works, right? How to make sure that everything is running smoothly in case of technical glitches that happen. They can problem solve the glitches right on time. If the meeting is going off course, they can bring it back on course by pointing out where it's going off and being right on target. That is what a Zoom master does. And then not only a Zoom master, but you need a sergeant at arms who will open the meeting by reading out, of course, the mission statement of the club and introducing the Toastmaster of the day as the person who will be leading the meeting. So you need the sergeant at arms, and the sergeant at arms will also be spotlighting the speakers. You ought to know what spotlighting is. It is very, very important in a virtual meeting, especially when you're demonstrating your club as an open house. I find that in most clubs, the timer is they're just showing, for example, a card they will flash in front of the camera. However, Toastmasters International has provided us with different timing cards that can be used as a background. So use that instead for the timers. So make sure that your timer knows how to use the background for timing. Very, very important in an online club. And of course, a lot of clubs also use the grammarian's background. For example, at my home club, we use this. The grammarian will use this as a background, and the grammarian will sit a little bit on the side. So this word is shown throughout the meeting, and the grammarian will be spotlighted from time to time in between speeches so that everyone knows what the word of the day is and to use it. So make sure that understand how to do that in an online meeting. Let's talk about now the marketing campaign. As I said, the open house should be decided 10 days to 2 weeks beforehand. The vice president of membership and the vice president of public relations should get together to decide on the marketing campaign. Of course, the vice president of education would have assigned the roles. That is, we already talked about that. But for the marketing campaign, why do I call it a campaign? Because If you look at your TV and you see commercials, they don't do the commercials just once. And if it is prime time, you'll see the same commercial 3, 4, 5 times even during prime time. And those commercials are repeated day after day after day. So that it gets imprinted in people's minds. And so when they want to make a buying decision, they know what to buy because it's imprinted in the mind. Similarly, a marketing campaign for Toastmasters is the same way. When you do a social media campaign and you create graphics, don't do just one graphic, or some people call it flyer. I prefer to call it a graphic, which is very different than a flyer. And it has to be posted in your Facebook and social media like LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and so on and so forth, not just once, but 3 or 4 times. 3 times is desired. So 3 different graphics at 3 different times, one 10 days before, and then one 7 days before, or 5 days before, and one maybe 2 days before. Typically, that works very well in my experience. So this should be your social media marketing campaign. Make sure that, of course, all the members like the posts that are being posted on social media. They will comment, like, and share those posts by your vice president of public relations. Also, make sure that not only are they liking, sharing, and commenting, but give them this social media graphics so they can send it to their friends, to their colleagues, to their family, to whoever they know, and also post it themselves on their own timelines besides the share that they will be doing. So we live in a click economy. You have to make sure that all your posts on social media in the write-ups, in the actual post, not on the graphic itself, but in the post, it should actually give a link where they can click to go and register for the event. So it should be a clickable link, because we live in a click economy. If it's not clickable, within 1 second, they are on to the next thing. That is how fickle social media is. This is how our attention span is, you and mine and everybody else. So make sure that people are able to click and go and register. The other thing, of course, is testimonials, or I call them Toastmonials. So put those on social media. Each member, a proficient member who is able to speak well, or even beginners, make sure that you tell the audience where you're posting that these are beginners and so on, and post them on social media so that your guests can see what's going on in the club, what is the proficiency level, why they are members of a Toastmasters club, especially your club, and what are they getting out of the club. Not only that, during the event, during the open house, I suggest that 2 or 3 members stand up after the speeches and evaluations are done to do those testimonials right at the event itself as to why they are in that particular club. Very, very important. This is what converts guests to members. This is what attracts guests to come in if you have testimonials on your social media. The other thing is, of course, make sure that you brainstorm ideas. Make sure you put them in the local newspaper, what you're doing at your club. This is, of course, because everything is virtual, people don't think about the local newspapers, and that they don't do local newspaper releases. But it is still, I believe, an effective way to promote your club. Brainstorm every possible way that you can promote the club with your members, maybe a week, 2 weeks before. Because we are on Zoom, you can take some extra time after your meeting even to brainstorm as to what would be the best effective strategy and where and how you can reach out into the world so that you can attract as many guests as possible. I know that in other clubs that I have been a member of, we have set a challenge for members. And the member who brings in the most number of guests, we give them a small token gift, like a $5 or maybe $10 coffee card, right? And we've done that. And think about those things. That will get the members energized to bring in guests, because as I said before, 80% of the people who join Toastmasters, 80% are from people who know other people. It's word of mouth. That is the one surefire way of getting guests to become members. So make sure that every member is responsible for bringing in at least 2 guests. I mean, it's a game, of course. I mean, there are some members who won't bring any guests because either they are shy to or embarrassed to approach somebody, or they genuinely don't know that many people, of course. But most people do know at least 2 other people who are not Toastmasters that they can bring to the club. Let's look at the speakers that I had mentioned earlier. What is the format of an open house? Have 3 speakers, not 4 speakers, not 2 speakers. Unless you are a lunchtime club, of course, then you will have 2 speakers. But have 3 speakers. Speaker number 1 should be a relatively new speaker, somebody who has not even completed their level 2 is an ideal newer speaker. So have them speak first. What you're doing is you want to demonstrate that here's a beginner speaker, and then the next speaker will be, the second speaker will be a little bit more seasoned speaker, somebody who's done at least level 2 and gone beyond level 2 onto maybe level 3, level 4, or they may have completed a pathway. And then the speaker number 3 would be a seasoned speaker from your club, or of course, somebody from outside, as we've discussed, a speaker from the area, division, or the district, to demonstrate that here's a beginner speaker, here's a median speaker, and here's an expert speaker, to show to the guests that you may be starting here, but you could be here, and then finally you could reach over there with consistency and with the training program and with the pathways. So it's a sales job. That's why you have these 3 speakers lined up in an open house. It's very, very important to make sure that this is how you will line up your speakers. Talking about evaluators, however, the evaluators need to be more proficient in their evaluations. I would recommend a bit more seasoned Toastmasters for evaluations, because the evaluations is really to build the speaker up. And so what you want is somebody who is able to inspire the speaker, somebody who can see what was good about the speech, where they could improve, and what was the next level to take them to greatness. A simple evaluation like that can be explained to the Toastmasters would be a very effective way of doing the evaluations. So if you can't find the evaluators in your club, guess what? Go outside the club again, go to the area, go to the division, go to the district, and ask if they would come and help you do evaluations. I have personally done that. When I've been coaching clubs, and the club had very few members, like my Speak Toastmasters, my home club now. And I used to go out there in the district and ask for speakers and evaluators to come and speak. You must make sure that the quality of the meeting is a high quality meeting. There is an emphasis that I have to make. So make sure that the evaluators know what they are really doing, because the guests want to feel comfortable that if somebody does an evaluation the way it's being done, that whatever mistakes they are making, however bad or good, wherever they are with their speaking, that they will be lifted up to the next level. That's what the guests need to feel. That's the most important aspect of an evaluation during an open house. And what did I say in the beginning was, whatever you're doing in the open house should be your regular club meeting as well. So make sure that, you communicate with people around the area, district, division, to make sure you get the right amount of people. If you're a smaller club, like there are clubs with 8, 10, 12 members, if you're one of those clubs, ask for help. Table topics is my favorite thing. Yes, I don't mind speaking at table topics. It's a favorite thing to speak about. What I mean is the favorite thing to mention in an open house. Make sure your table topics is simple, that the guests will be able to understand what it is that they have to do. It's not a complicated subject. The explanation is not too long. It's the explanation of what a table topics is for the guests is also short and sweet. And make sure that at least 5 or 6 people are able to speak. Start with the members first. Now this is an open house, so of course you will want to involve the guests. So 1 or 2 or 3 people from the membership, and then open it up to the guests and say, would any guest like to participate? And the questions should be easy for the guests, so they are able to stand up on their feet and be able to speak to it. So it's not supposed to be a test of your intelligence. It is a test of ability to speak off the cuff. So make sure that it is geared towards speaking off the cuff rather than a test of intelligence or knowledge or wisdom or something like that. That's what a table topics is all about. So as I've said, first, of course, members and then guests. Now, let's go to looking at what happens before the meeting. Before the meeting, have a dry run, as I've mentioned before. Make sure that all the members who are participating in the open house, who are on the agenda, know what their roles are, that they are able to explain their role when they're called upon to explain their role, the timer's role, the grammarian's role, the quizmaster role, and any other auxiliary role that they have. Make sure that the speakers know their speeches, their speech titles, that they have practiced the speeches with their mentors and with the club beforehand, so that when they come and speak at the open house, they're more or less proficient. It does not mean that there are no mistakes. That is not what I mean. Mistakes will always happen. We are Toastmasters. We are a learning organization. Things will happen. But what I mean is, at least we have practiced and we are a bit more confident in our delivery. That's very, very important. What happens at the meeting? When the meeting starts, the meeting should be open for an open house. Open your Zoom doors at least half an hour before. At My Speak Toastmasters, the club opens for special events an hour before. And everyone who's on the agenda comes in at that time to test their equipment, their technology, to make sure that everything is working well before the guests even start to arrive. Make sure that you have a greeter, very, very important. The greeter should greet the guests right away. But make sure that when guests come in for a smaller club or when there's few guests in an open house or otherwise, that they are greeted, that there's no conversation amongst the members, looking at the agenda, scrambling around. That is not going to be an effective, high quality meeting, and you're not paying attention to the guests. So make sure that the guests are really looked after. Focus on the guests. Make sure that you answer the questions right at the beginning. If they have any questions before you start the meeting, have something in the chat, a Google form where they can click on the Google form and go and sign up as a guest. They will enter their email address, their name, and any other particulars that you want them to enter so that you can connect with them afterwards. You want to have membership applications ready. Those member application forms should be ready, and make sure you post them in the chat towards the end, because I mean, guests would have indicated on the Google form itself, are they interested, right? You would know by reading the Google form. It's a live document. So the VP of membership or the membership committee should be looking at that live document as guests are filling in the form, what's going on, who's asking for what information, so that you are able to answer those at the end. As you call on the guest, you say, I know you've asked this question. Here's the answer. Here's the application form. Here is the email address where you can do an e-transfer if they have indicated they want to become members, of course, and they're willing to. Some will say, contact me and I want to think about it. So what you do is you contact them later. All right. Besides the guest, of course, start on time. Make sure that the meeting is bang on. The Sergeant at Arms makes the opening remarks and introduces the Toastmaster of the day. Make sure the Sergeant at Arms knows how to spotlight. Again, it's very, very important. That's why I keep mentioning spotlighting. It's one of the most important aspects in a meeting, in a virtual meeting. And of course, at the end, in the business session or just after the speakers have spoken, there should be enough time allotted for at least 2 or 3 other members to give a 30-second to maximum 1-minute testimonial or testimonial at the meeting. After the meeting, post-meeting, make sure that you follow up on social media by posting the event, the pictures of the event or the screenshots of the event. Post-meeting, of course, therefore, make sure that you're doing a follow-up on posting on social media, follow-up with the guests itself, as well as sending them emails, phone calling them, and so on and so forth. And make sure that you connect with your guests and send them the application form, give them the information that they have asked for, if you're not able to do that at the meeting. And that is it. for open houses. And this is how we conduct open houses. In average club does that sort of an open house, and they do it quite successfully. And I hope those who are watching this video will be able to conduct an open house successfully. If you need any more information, if you have any more questions, please do ask, connect with me. I'm the Club Growth Director. My email address is on the district website, District 86 website. Connect with me through that email address that is on the District 86 website, or bram.memon.cgd@gmail.com, and send me an email if you have any questions. I have some questions from the audience right here, and I have a question from Khatile Nkala.
Yes, I am here.
What is your question?
For a dry run, there's always a challenge for many clubs to get members to spend more time, more than the meeting itself. So a dry run, I understand you mentioned it would be before the meeting to practice, so that there's proficiency at the meeting. But how best can you perform a dry run? What practical examples do you have? How maybe has my speak mastered this? Thank you.
Well, dry runs can be in many different ways. Since you mentioned MySpeak8 a very different format than most clubs do. MySpeak Toastmasters, for example, meets on a Wednesday evening at 8:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. and they practice their roles and speeches and so on that they're going to deliver on their actual meeting day, which is a Saturday. 9:30 a.m. is the actual meeting time, so they can meet on Wednesdays, which is a fixed time. They also, all the members are assigned to a mentor group, and so people meet with their mentor groups and practice there. In other clubs, of course, there's a mentor and mentee relationship, so get together with your mentor at any time during the week, and it's just a matter of clicking on a button, getting on Zoom for about 10 minutes and practicing with your mentor your speech or the role that you're playing, and make sure that you become proficient at it. That is the best way of doing it.
Yes, Bram. My question was, during an open house, if it's a regular meeting where we showcase through a dry run, when would be a good time to highlight the club in question, whether it is significant achievements in the past, or how does this club stand out and apart from all others? Members coming to open houses usually come because they're club shopping. And when they come here to the open house, what is it that is actually going to attract them and leave them here and stop them from looking around? So when do we take the opportunity to do that?
See, here's the thing. Most clubs in our district are average clubs. They've got about between 12 to 20 members. Most clubs. I'm not talking of clubs that have got 25, 30, 35 members. I'm talking of the average club, which has between 12 to 22, 23 members. And what they can demonstrate is how effective their meetings are, how much care they give to the guests as they come in, and how they're speaking to the guests and how they're making them feel comfortable. That is the selling point. It doesn't have to be any spectacular thing or anything special that the club is doing, or it's not sort of geared to, okay, we are only gearing to salespeople, or we are only gearing to business people, or we are only gearing towards coaches and teachers and so on. It doesn't have to be that. It could be just your average club that is teaching you communication and leadership. But it is the quality and how you talk to the members and how you take care of members. It is very, very important that the guests, how the guests feel that you actually care about them by how you speak to them before, during, and after the meeting, and the follow-up that gives the guest that comfort feeling. Oh yeah, this guy, this person, this member in this club really cares. I would like to join this club, because when I went to the other club or the other place, the other open house or wherever they went, I wasn't cared for as much. And so that is what should be special about your club to begin with. On an average, for an average club, that's where the buck stops. And then of course there's clubs like MySpeak Toastmasters Club who are doing spectacular things and doing events that are mega events, how they train, how they coach, how they mentor the members is something very, very different. And it's all due to a vision that they have. And of course, that is the selling point that they have, which has created something phenomenal for them. And all clubs could do that, of course, eventually, as they create a vision for themselves and incorporate those things that MySpeak did. So I would really focus on the average club in the district, and that's what we need to do. Okay, with that, thank you very much. This was how to create a wow open house so that you get guests into your club. Please do connect with me, Bram Memon, Club Growth Director, District 86. And I'm available to answer any questions. Yeah, that is my picture, yeah. I shouldn't have probably have it there. But remember, I'm committed that no member is left behind, no club is left behind, that I'm available for you, that you get the tools and the skills that you need, the training that you want in your clubs as executive teams, as members, so that I can help you reach your goal of growing your club and your membership and learning about your own leadership and becoming good leader and from good to great leaders. With that, take care, and I'll speak to you soon.